Reddit has been around for years and is home to some of the craziest and most disturbing stories the internet has ever seen. In this video, we'll be taking a look at some of the most obscure, unsettling posts that I guarantee you've never heard of. So join me as we take a look at some of the most unsettling true Reddit posts. I survived an honor killing from my family, and I still miss them. Throwaway for obvious reasons. I grew up in an extreme Muslim household. I was forced to wear the hijab at 5 and niqab and burqa at 11. I was driven to and from school every day and wasn't allowed to socialize with anyone outside my immediate family and the attendees at my local mosque. At 18, I finished school, and from then on, my life became hell. As a child, I was still allowed to socialize with classmates and allowed to attend chaperoned events with the girls at the mosque. But when I became an adult, I was told that my focus would be to get married and that I wouldn't be allowed to leave the house without an official reason. For the next 2 months, I didn't leave the house at all, as my brothers and father didn't see a reason for me to. I began to feel suffocated and started evaluating my options for leaving. I had no money, but I had amazing grades. An idea formed in my mind, and in the dead of the night, I would sneak downstairs and research universities on the family computer. I was able to send in my applications, and it seemed to be going well until my older brother found out. I had forgotten to delete a tab and was immediately confronted. I played dumb, but it was too late. My father was infuriated, and on a November evening in 2016, he, my uncle, and my brothers beat me and strangled me within an inch of my life for going against their orders. My memories are clouded, but I believe that they thought I was dead when they left me in a pile of my own blood. I wasn't dead, however. I had suffered some serious head trauma, but was still alive. I was playing dead, and in their craze, they hadn't bothered to check my pulse. Once they believed that they had killed me, they began to discuss what to do with my body. My uncle suggested that they bury me in the back garden, and the men went outside to dig up my grave. I was in pain and could barely see from my swollen eyes. I knew I had to escape, otherwise I would be buried alive. I managed to escape to a local shop where the employees immediately called the police. I was taken into police custody and given a false identity. A week after the attempt on my life, I found out that I had gotten into university to be a doctor. In an unexpected turn of events, my mother testified against my father, but not my uncle and brothers. They walked free, whilst my father was given a life sentence. It's been almost a decade now. I live a new life under a different name with my husband, who I met in university, and our 2-year-old daughter. He knows about my past and has always been nothing but supportive. His family are very loving and treat me like their own daughter. I'm a doctor and homeowner. My life is wonderful now, and I often get comments that I'm living the dream life. But nobody knows about the torture I have experienced. Apart from my therapist and husband, I haven't seen any of my family since that fateful night. I didn't even attend the court case. As far as I'm concerned, I have no family and say as much to the people I meet. But nobody knows that I occasionally visit the social medias of my brothers and mother. I see their wives and children, and my mother featured in many of the pictures. I feel sad that I'm not a part of them and mourn the loss of my family, even after everything they did. I don't know what's wrong with me. They tried to kill me, and yet I miss them so much. I could never tell my therapist or husband about this, as I'm deeply ashamed that I still care after everything they did to me. So, I'm venting to Reddit. I may be a different person now, but deep down, I'm still a person who misses her mommy and longs for a family she never had. I think about reaching out all of the time, but I never do. Instead, I secretly sob about my missing family and live every day knowing that besides my husband, I'm completely alone in the world. Am I the asshole for making my girlfriend leave the country? This is my first time posting on Reddit, so forgive any errors or if the format is weird. I also can't give too many details as my girlfriend and a lot of close friends are avid Redditors. I've been dating my girlfriend for 5 years. We met in college, where she was an international student. She started working after graduating, while I'm currently doing a master's. Her company was sponsoring her visa until they got bought out, and she got laid off. She was given a limited time to find a new employer to sponsor her a new visa, and it really stressed her out. She was applying to jobs every day and did a lot of interviews, but unfortunately wasn't able to get an offer. She really wanted to stay since she loves the place, and I would still be here in the country. While I was out with a buddy, he suggested that I sponsor her visa since we've been in a relationship for quite some time. I love her, and I didn't want to see her so stressed out, so I told her about the idea. She was hesitant at first. She said she didn't want me to think that she was with me, so I could be her way to a permanent residence or citizenship to the country. I wanted her to stay, and I wanted to do it. We consulted an immigration consultant and decided to do the paperwork on our own. She was the one who mostly looked into the stuff we needed to prepare. She still applied for jobs, but not as urgently as she used to. It took a while since we never really had anything joint. We lived together and just split the bills on our own. She had enough saved up to be okay for a while. I had to fill out some paperwork to be her sponsor, and I felt uneasy about it. I did want her to stay, but it felt like it was too much. Eventually, she was done with her part, and all that was left was mine. I finally told her that I didn't want to go through with it. She was very upset and asked why. I told her that I suggested the idea because I didn't want to see her stressed out all the time, and that I eventually realized that I shouldn't have to be responsible for her. We had a long talk where I told her that I still want to be in a relationship with her, but I just don't want to be forced to be responsible for her. She said she felt very hurt by what I said. Things changed, and she didn't really talk to me after. She kept applying for jobs and attending interviews, but eventually her visa expired. Before she left, I told her I love her and that I would really want her to come back. However, she told me that she sees me differently after the things I told her. It's been a few weeks since she left. I miss her cooking, her presence, and being able to spend time with her. I still want a future with her. However, our close friends have been telling me that I was an asshole. I disagree, and I think they're biased. So here I am asking what Reddit thinks. Am I the asshole? You're the asshole. So you're in a committed relationship with the same person for 5 years now and you're still unsure? Not only that, you're the one who suggested it and you're the one who pulled out of the agreement last second. For your information, you don't have a girlfriend anymore. She's your ex now. You're the asshole. There's quite a lot to unpack here. You've been with her for 5 years. That's quite a long time to be with someone. Based on one of your replies, you see her as someone who's equivalent to a spouse. That means that there's a certain level of commitment if you truly mean how you feel about her. You said you don't want to be responsible for her. If you've only been dating her for a few months, then that would have been reasonable. But 5 years? Does that mean that if you're in a relationship and your partner falls sick, you wouldn't want to be responsible for being there and taking care of them? How can you expect the same love, care, and commitment from someone else then? You said you suggested sponsoring her visa because you didn't want to see her stressed. At first, it might seem like you wanted to do it out of love, but you backing out on an idea that you suggested, and she was the one who put in the effort to prepare it, seems like you only did it as a quick fix to make her less stressed so that you wouldn't have to be there for what must have been a very difficult time for her. If you see a future with her, why are you unsure about sponsoring her then? Many people who are in loving, committed relationships do it so they can continue to be with their partners. It doesn't seem like she is with you only for the sponsorship either. The OP then edited his post to respond to the comments, as there were quite a lot. I have read through a lot of comments, and everyone seems to think I'm the asshole here. To those asking what my responsibilities would be, I would have to be financially responsible for her for 3 years. If she gets any government assistance or social welfare, I would have to pay it back. I also can't sponsor anyone else until the 3 years have passed. Also, I listed what I missed about her in no particular order. I listed that I miss her cooking first, but it doesn't mean I don't miss her. To the people who said I'm probably an immigrant too, what does that have to do with anything? My parents moved to where we are now, so here I am. I still stand by what I said. No one I know has to do anything like this. It just doesn't feel normal. I would want to eventually have a home with her, but I don't think anyone should have to be responsible for another person's decisions or their circumstances. It's just gaslighting if you convince someone that they should be. I don't know if anyone will see this edit since it's been a few days. I have updates, so I'll probably do a separate post about it when I have time. 2 weeks later, the OP came back with a new post. I couldn't reply to everyone who commented on my last post, and there were many people who DM'd me asking for an update. The general consensus was that I'm the asshole. I will just address a lot of the things here, including what happened after my first post. I talked to her over the weekend. She didn't have time to sell her car before leaving, so she contacted me saying she did some paperwork to transfer the car to me. I do understand that she felt hurt, so I told her that I would buy a plane ticket to go see her. She had never once went back to her home country after moving away, so I've never visited her home country. I wanted to show that I am very serious about her and that I am still committed, so I wanted to fly over to visit and talk things out. She immediately turned me down, saying that flight tickets are expensive and that I still have work. I begged her to let me, and she eventually said that she couldn't forget the stuff that happened and that she couldn't come back from it. I explained my side again, and that while I understand that she's hurt, I shouldn't be forced to take responsibility for her, and that I hoped she would be understanding of that. The conversation was long. She said she could never trust me again. She said I never saw a future with her from the start and that I abandoned her. She said it wasn't just about the sponsorship, but it played a big part in it. In the end, she told me that she still loved me, but she doesn't think we should be together. To clarify a couple of things, why I didn't want to go through with sponsoring her. I would have to be financially responsible for her for 3 years. If she gets any government assistance or social welfare, I would have to pay it back. I also can't sponsor anyone else until the 3 years have passed. Even though I listed that I missed her cooking first, it doesn't mean that that was the first thing I missed about her. I was just listing it out without thinking about a particular order, and yes, I did miss her terribly. To those who commented and messaged me saying that I'm an immigrant, I don't know what that has to do with anything. My parents moved to where I am now, so yeah. Yes, no one I know has to do anything like this. No one I know has to make the decision of whether or not to sponsor a visa. I don't think it's fair for anyone to have to take on this much responsibility, and saying that they should feels like gaslighting. Relationships shouldn't be this hard, and having to do something like that doesn't feel normal. For those of you who called me an asshole, how many of you actually have to make a decision like I did? How many of you would actually go through with sponsoring a partner's visa? You kept going on about how you shouldn't be forced to take responsibility for her, but wasn't it your choice to sponsor her in the first place? The fact that you kept emphasizing on this part after immediately pushing away responsibility that you decided to carry in the first place still makes you an asshole. It's one thing to not have the financial ability to help your partner. It's another to betray her trust and still continuously tell her that you shouldn't be forced to do this. What the hell? It was your decision in the first place, and you backed out super quickly in the most asshole way possible. Yes, I did offer to sponsor her, but that felt like I was forced to. The situation at the time made me feel like I had to, and that I didn't even have the choice. I don't know how to word it better, but everything felt so stressful. She was so stressed out with finding a job that could sponsor her visa. She would be job hunting the moment she woke up, attend interviews, and get devastated with each rejection. And it was like that almost every day. Our relationship got turned upside down, and it was hard for me to see her that way. So of course, I offered to sponsor her. It was the only choice I was presented with. I hated the situation we were in, and even though I offered, I realized after how wrong it was that I had to be forced to do that. Again, she never forced you, nor did she expect you to pay. Stop saying you had to be forced or that you don't want to be forced to take responsibility. Your wording comes off as super arrogant and selfish, and you're still denying that you were the asshole to her. I never said that she forced me. All I'm saying is that the situation we were in left me with no choice but to sponsor her, and that in itself feels really wrong. I don't think you realize what a shitty partner you're being. Go look up the word. I don't think you understand what it means. Reflect on it. What kind of long-term relationship are you even looking to have? If your future partner gets sick or loses their job, are you gonna dump them then too? From your behavior so far, I would certainly assume so. You're not just a bad partner, you're kind of a bad person. If I trusted a person enough to be in a relationship for 5 years, no way in hell would I have done this to them. And I don't know a single other person who would either, thankfully. I don't blame her for feeling used by you. Yes, from what everyone has said, I understand that I was a shitty partner. I would have been there for her, and I offered to sponsor her out of desperation, but I never had a good feeling about the whole thing. I wished she could tell that I was uncomfortable with going through with it, but every time I saw her going through the paperwork and telling me about the procedure, it made me guilty, and I thought I could just get it over with. There wasn't really much more information from the OP, and he stayed pretty quiet until he came back with a final update about a month and a half later and dropped a horrifying bombshell on the subreddit. My ex-girlfriend unalived herself after she broke up with me, and everyone is blaming me. I've posted before about my ex-girlfriend and why we broke up, so I won't get into that here. We dated for almost 5 years before we broke up. A couple of weeks ago, I received a sum of money from my ex-girlfriend. This happened while I was sleeping, as we were in different time zones, so I only saw it when I woke up. A message was included with the deposit that said, "Hope this helps pay off some student loans." It wasn't a huge sum, but still significant, so I tried to contact her, but I couldn't reach her. Fast forward to last week, a mutual friend of ours wanted to check up on how she was doing, but they couldn't reach her either. They Google searched her name and the country she was in, and through Google Translate, they found out that she'd taken her own life. No one knows exactly when she died, but most probably soon after she sent me the money, and no one could find anything about a funeral either. She wasn't close to her family and didn't have that many family members in her country. Other friends found out about it too, and since then, everyone has been blaming me for her death. Obviously, I'm devastated by it too. However, I think it's unfair for people to say that I'm the reason she killed herself, or that I could have helped her. She's had depression before when we were dating, and I've always managed to get her to get over it, but problems still did come up from time to time. She was also the one who broke up with me after I tried to make things work. This incident has very negatively impacted my relationship with my friends, as I work with some of them in school. Some very close friends have also stopped talking to me. What do I do? How do I convince them that it wasn't my fault? And how do I get my friends to treat me normally again? I think the most telling part about all of this is the fact that you give one sentence in reference to how her death affects you. Obviously, I'm devastated by it too. The woman you loved for 5 years is dead, and you only give a sentence about how her death has impacted you because your head is so far up your ass, you're only focused on how your own terrible actions lead you to be ostracized. Once again, you made the choice to talk about sponsoring her, you agreed to do it, and then you backed out of it to leave her doomed to be emigrated. Her death was not done by your hand, but it's a fool's thinking to believe that you had no part in pushing her to that decision. You deserve everything that is coming to you, and then some. I hope you're happy. I'm not good at expressing myself or my emotions. She has always had depression from other problems in her life. I've tried to get her to get over it, but I can only do so much. She was already in a negative state, and I have my own life to think about too. It's not my fault she's from a less fortunate country. I did want to help her, but sponsoring her just to keep her going is not something I would ever be fine with. It was just unfortunate I didn't realize that until later. I genuinely offered to help because I loved her, but there is still a line I had to draw. Yes, what I did may have impacted her negatively, but she made the decision to end her life instead of fighting for it. I truly wished she did, but she didn't. This is rage bait. Take solace in the fact OP's story is fake. I take solace in the fact that if this is fake, he's such a loser that he had to make up rage bait to piss off people. That's a seriously miserable sod. If this is real, karma will get him in the sweetest way. Was I kidnapped as a child? I believe that I may have been kidnapped when I was little. There's a part of my life that is completely blank in my mind. I don't remember anything from the time I was 5 to 6. I remember things from when I was 3 to 4. I'm currently 21. The only thing that I remember from the time of 5 to 6 is myself crying in a dark room with only a TV with a few old VHS tapes, and every time I've asked my mother about it, she would always change the topic and never answer me. She passed last year, so I never got a definitive answer. I tried searching my name on Google, but nothing shows up. I've been trying to get in contact with family members from around the time, but either they don't have social media or don't reply to my messages on Messenger. There are a few more family members I'll try to get in contact with. My grandmother of my mom's side never met my dad. She doesn't have social media or a cell phone, but I know where she lives, and I'm planning to send her a letter to tell her that I'm planning on paying a visit. It's been 4 years since I've seen her. I know she's alive because I saw her in a picture posted by a younger cousin last week. I'll ask her what happened because she was living with my mother and I for about 3 years from my ages 4 to 7. If anyone would know, she would. What exactly happened to me? Do you think there was some sort of neglect or abuse that happened at that time, or some sort of punishment? Maybe it was towards you from either your mom or grandmother, since you said she lived with you guys in another comment. Maybe she regrets things that happened, and that's why she wanted to change the subject. Or maybe someone was babysitting you at that time and did that to you. Your mom found out, eventually taking you out of that situation and trying to wipe the memory of that from you. I'm just wondering if it was a situation that wasn't great that happened to you, but still with your family, and maybe your mom just downplayed it, regrets it, or hoped you didn't remember, rather than you being full-on kidnapped. By the way, I'm wondering how you know for a fact that happened when you were 5 to 6, and then how you know memories before that was 3 to 4. I just think it's very specific to know the ages, but not remember anything else about it other than that memory. I know it happened around the ages of 5 to 6 because I have memories of every birthday since my 3rd, except for 5 and 6. My only memory from that time was the one I mentioned. My mother would always discuss stories from when I was little with me, except for the ones of me being 5 to 6 years old. That's a really big thing to be dealing with. Do you have anyone you trust that could help you get the answers you need and also give you support? I don't know how you could begin to find out, but speaking to the police might be a way. Do you have any ID, health or education records, or photos of you as a baby? I do have one baby picture. I know for a fact that my mother was my biological mother because of a DNA test I did shortly after she passed. I believe someone abducted me when I was 5 to 6, and I may have been found and returned to my family. I already wrote the letter to my grandmother with a date that I'll be going to her home in Minnesota. I live in Michigan, so hopefully I can get an answer. Oh, I see. Well, the police might still be able to help by accessing any reports of you being a victim of a crime. Possibly. I'll try to get an answer from my grandmother first, then I'll try to find possible records. A few weeks later, the OP came back with an update. I visited my grandmother yesterday. I'm staying in her guest room, and she told me what happened. My uncle was a severe drug addict and was always trying to get high. It turns out I was indeed kidnapped by him in broad daylight. He picked me up in the front yard and multiple neighbors saw him. She told me that I was missing for a single afternoon because my uncle was dumb enough to bring me to his home, which was 20 minutes from town. Apparently, he planned to anonymously ransom me for money for cocaine or sell me to whoever. Since this happened in a small town in the 2000s and everything was resolved quickly, there wasn't much news coverage aside from a small mention in the local paper. So yeah, she also said she disowned him as her son, and last she heard, he got arrested for indecent exposure over in South Dakota. So, TLDR, my family is messed up.